So is it time to buy the dip? This is a thing that's pretty common. When the market's correct, you feel a little bit washed out. But there's a mania stage that we're currently in. That's the kind of top and bottom of it. But the problem is, people tend to get caught out. They chase pumps, they sell too early, or they just fail to buy the dip or consolidate a position. Let's see what's happening. So if you've been following me before, we've been talking about the mania phase. We are currently in that big shoot to the upside, year 3 of the 4-year cycle, and it's been illustrated by this black line on the screen, alongside the blue, alongside the green, obviously as well alongside the pink. Now, for me, we're at a stage where, my opinion, dinosaur coins and existing retail from the prior cycle have returned. That's fair enough, right? Caught a lot of people out for obvious reasons. A lot of people were like, not even looking at those coins. If you've been watching some of my videos, you'll know. Like, subscribe, comment, please. I've been talking about coins to buy, and I covered a lot of them in that video, and a lot of people in the comments were like, really? They're going to move. They do. They always do. Now, the reality is, you're going to get illiquid markets, certainly with certain things when big volume comes back from people with max short on it and stuff like that. And obviously as well, late shorters will get punished. People think it's going to go lower, it's going to go lower. I think what's happening now, late longs are getting punished. Simple as that. Why? Because people are expecting things to go higher. The worst thing you can do as a psychological, emotional person is buy something in the hope it goes higher. This is why you got to look at buying the dip, right? Let's talk about some other obvious things, right? The data is well and truly on our side. That's fine. Q4, really good so far. And in the past, it showcased that as Q4, most markets, in terms of this sort of time frame, has been pretty good. Even Ethereum is relatively good for Q4. Now, that could give you an indication that, well, maybe there's going to be a Santa rally with December and stuff like that. And as you can see here, we've had a really good, solid year. Now, the reality is here, when we look down here, the quarterly performance is, yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. But there's always going to be pullbacks, and in a bull market there's always very aggressive pullbacks, and this is why people get shaken out of the market. The reality is though, if you are a Bitcoin holder, you are somewhat profitable unless you've done something a little bit silly. But we need to take a bit of a deeper dive to that, because we need to look at some altcoins realistically and see what's going to happen, because I think those BTC pairs are going to be very, very interesting to watch. Because my personal thought, and if you want to join me on Patreon, I'm going to do a full deep dive on this in today's video later on, which, yeah, the history tells us there's always something that happens with Bitcoin dominance, which is basically we're going to spike higher before we drop lower, basically, right? And that's happened on the last couple of cycles. What does that mean? Well, what if Bitcoin runs well over 100k and just blasts through it? Remember, psychological level of 100k could be massive here. That big grey line is 100k. That is one huge psychological number. Huge. Break through that, I don't think altcoins will keep up. So, dip buying. What are you in? Let me know in the comments. Are you looking at the BTC pairs? Or are you looking solely in USD? No right or wrong answer. I just want to know. First and foremost, Bitcoin has corrected. Now, we have gone, let's be honest, on the 3-day time frame with not real much hassle from 66,800 to pretty much 100k, 99.5. It's pretty good going, isn't it? And the pullback region, in my opinion, I think we're nearly there. I do. And I've got a feeling, right? Now, this, again, not financial advice. Please seek a professional before you start going off what I say, because sometimes I'm wrong. Bitcoin likes, strong word, likes the 23.6 Fibonacci level. Why is this important? Because if you're looking at the dip in USD, you probably don't have much time left. That's all I'm going to say. If, keyword, if this bounces, right? Because your USD pairs will go up because this is going to be stronger than your altcoins, essentially, right? Let's talk about that. Now, that has shown in the past that could be possible. If that is the case, we could be looking at moves much higher. Yes. So be mindful of that. This is a strong move. Now, what this kind of means is every strong move in Bitcoin's history has always indicated that that level will always get retraced. Same with a dump. If it dumps hard, it's going to get hit by that level too. For me, that is an unbelievable spurt. Massive, massive run. As you know, probably the biggest in its history, right, in terms of gains. Now, what does that mean for altcoins? Well, as I've just alluded to, USD pairs will be strong. However, let's look at Bitcoin dominance, because this has done this. It's corrected, right? It's corrected a little bit. Nothing crazy, right? And I know a lot of people are going to be saying, well, it's been pretty good for some. Yeah, it has. And that's only a 3% decline. And we're hoping for it to go below 50, below 45, maybe even below 40. A monster alt season. When rotation happens and the altcoins go berserk, and above my head, I'll move it down, you'll see these .Ds go up massively, right? That's huge. But let's be honest here, right? If I'm talking absolute gobbledygook, check out Learning Crypto. There's a massive discount on at the minute, as you can see here. Big discount. Last ever one, right? So make sure you jump in, because tutorials and educational videos, they're going to get filled up pretty quickly. And one of them is all about dominance, because I think people don't understand it. Let's talk about two clear and obvious things, right? When we're talking about USD pairs versus Bitcoin pairs, there's a total 3. Total 3 looks like this. It's blowing up. It's gone through. The previous level, what we're interested in is probably this one. If I zoom out, well, we've got to also look at this level too. Where are we? Well, we're not that far away. And even where we are right now in terms of today's market price, this bar here at $880 billion is relatively congested. If I zoom that all the way across, bear with me, hello, where are we? Well, we've just zipped below it. We may well find that we find a level of support down at these points very, very soon. I'm going to remove that one, but you get the idea. So keep your eye on it. But that level, this area around here, actually, no, I'll keep it on. I'll keep that area on just in case, because we've still got 2 days and 12 hours. Okay. If we zip above it, cool. Now, as I've alluded to it, it's simple. Buy solid assets that you think is fair value in the mania stage, because they will probably reward you, regardless of what Bitcoin does, right? So this is what the total 3 looks like. As I say, I don't want to repeat myself. If Bitcoin bounces, this goes that way. Now, the other side of the coin. Oh, this looks different, doesn't it? Now, I was expecting moves down to these red boxes. We got very, very close. May still happen. If Bitcoin really squirts up to the upside, I don't think altcoins will keep up with it in the BTC pair, therefore leading to this fall. If Bitcoin's move is slower and gradual or sideways motions, this will probably rise because more people get more interest in altcoins. That's the trade-off, right? So, good situation is slow moving Bitcoin. Bad situation for altcoins, if you're looking at your BTC pairs, is a really aggressive Bitcoin, but you may not notice because your USD pairs are growing, right? Now, I've spared on many, many videos, and feel free, as I say, subscribe and stuff. We need a change of character in this chart to indicate that altcoins are going to run. Some altcoins have ran, not all. That's kind of the top and bottom of it, right? We're almost at a point of a potential change in character here. I would rather wait for 0.5 to break and then go higher and into something else, personally. New levels. This is an interesting area. This is like potential capitulation. But as I say, what if Bitcoin really squirts and we just melt and we go down here? That's where it's going to hurt. And then all these .Ds will start going down to these floors again. Obviously, as you can see, Polkadot had a big squirt to the upside. As I mentioned in my previous video, Cardano had a massive squirt to the upside. They could all correct. They could do a 30-40% correction from today's prices. You may not notice it as much because Bitcoin goes high, but ultimately it may well dampen your Bitcoin spirit a little bit, right? So let me give you a live example. Look at Cardano, right? Cardano has squirted to the upside. Boom, it broke out massively. Even acted as level of support here and looks great. But if we're going to go from the low, okay, to the high of this move, it's coming down. But when we look at, like, if you bought the top of this move, that's a 14% correction. What about if it goes to the 3/8? What about if it goes to the 618, which it could possibly do, which could be a 36% correction, which will be in line with this previous level? That could hurt. But you may not notice it as much because ultimately your USD prices may well be flying because Bitcoin's done the correction. The pull, well, it's already done this correction, it's bounced off it, right? Be mindful of these areas because if you're looking solely in the Bitcoin prices, there's some really good areas down here. And I say it again, Dogecoin, what about if it does correct down to these levels? Even here, right? There's some good chances to make some really good money down here. And as I say, it may not look the same in the BTC pair, but what if it does correct? The dangerous part of all of this is if Bitcoin really corrects itself and loses a lot of value, because these altcoins will hurt more because they're already hurting in the BTC pairs, right? They're already correcting. If these were going up in the BTC pair, it wouldn't matter as much. There's only a couple that are doing that, which is a bit random, but not all. Anyways, the dip. You need to look at dip buying. Certain things, I know people ask questions about haven't pumped yet. No, they've not. But ultimately, as I say, some things will correct. And this is where emotions come into it, where people will think it won't correct as far as you think, or more importantly, it doesn't correct enough. Oh no. Oh, that's a bad situation because some people expect it to go lower and they wait and wait and wait for like the glorious opportunity. But I personal belief, it all depends on what this does. If Bitcoin bounces at this point, which it could really be interesting for altcoins. My personal opinion would be wait out and see what happens. Just see. Because if the BTC pairs really do plummet because the Bitcoin dominance rises again, which it could, you're going to find a lot of interest. But more importantly, this 100k level, this little grid box here, this 100k level, it's a psychological number. If that then teleports to even higher, you're going to find a bit of pain. Yeah, and as I say, USD pairs, great, lovely. But for me, the money is in the BTC pairs at the minute. High dominance. You need to wait for that to turn around. Hasn't turned around yet, hasn't confirmed. People are getting very excited too early. And as much as like I look at DOT and think, yeah, great, it's done great. But if it comes down here, it's going to hurt a little bit. Let's be honest, because as I say, if Bitcoin's a lot lower in value and this goes down and shrinks, well, it's going to be back into the $6 levels. You know, people may have been like, oh, fucking hell, like they give up. And then once they give up, it will squirt up even higher. Mentioned before in previous videos, I don't give much love to Ethereum, but this is in a horrible chronic downtrend that looks like it's going to die at some point. It's maybe changing character here, maybe, but what about if it goes down to these levels down here? That's just an area of like potential interest. It may not happen, but it's already gone down to this extension level. Ethereum is required to turn on the rocket fuel for altcoins, realistically, right? It's important, right? And when we look at that, it doesn't look as great. Or no, it doesn't look as bad, sorry, there you go. But it doesn't look as great as some of the altcoins, but it's still in a downtrend. Oh, look at these highs. Ugh, they're getting lower and lower. Ooh, interesting, right? You know, what about if, as I say, right, look at this high to this low. We're just above this, we just went towards 786. Some of these levels need to hold a support. But if Bitcoin loses its levels, it's going to go lower. And that could be very, very interesting. The final thing to talk about is the Russell. I don't talk about this much. The Russell has went and retested its all-time high. Now, this has a really interesting, like, kind of correlation between the fact that, well, Bitcoin runs and altcoin runs with this too, as you can see. As you can see. This was the market top, funny enough. And this is where we are. Maybe a blue sky breakout of this could be interesting. But the recipe is simple. We need Bitcoin to do well. We need Bitcoin to bounce. And I think, for me, the mania hasn't quite really got going yet until Bitcoin goes properly sideways. I don't think it's going to. Not yet. I just got a little feeling that that psychological level of Bitcoin flying up through this point is going to be very, very interesting. Then it can slow down. If Bitcoin then slows down and just gradually goes up, not a big parabolic move like this anymore because that's going to hurt. What we're needing is something that's quite slow and gradual. Remember the start of this year? Or the end of last year, we've gone gradual, then we ranged for a bit, and then the altcoins went mental. That's what we need. And then once this happened, it went a bit berserk for a bit, and then the altcoins really dropped aggressively. Anyways, that's me done talking. If you're new around here, as always, leave a like, subscribe, and comment, and let me know what you think. Patreon's 50% off if you're interested, and there's obviously a learning crypto discount too. They're both very, very different. One's education, and one's just me.